about 100 and something people watching our stream last week, and we'll see if they shut it off for an early dinner tonight, but we'll be doing our best. Thank you. Yes, Patrick's up there making sure everybody from around the country gets to see our service. So we'll begin our service this evening with the lighting of the candles. Page 2, if we have anyone who would like to come up and light candles for us tonight. Oh, Mickey, you don't want to? Yeah, come up. I'll sing it with you. We'll be great. You've done this before at home, right? I thought so, yeah. Okay, that's what I'm not.
Let me explain to you. The melody that I use is from my grandparents, because in the olden days, meaning 2,000 years ago, everybody had candles, so it wasn't special that you lit candles on Shabbat.
Oh.
So about 800 years ago, they decided that they would give the woman something to do and light candles with a blessing. But the only blessing they do is the Hanukkah candle blessings. And that's the one I learned. So you will be treated to Hanukkah candle Shabbat.
Well, we've heard of Christmas in July, and this is Hanukkah in August, so it's good.
Is there matches?
Yeah, it's right here.
What do they look like?
This one, and it's right there.
I never saw that.
Very fancy. Those are matches just for Hanukkah blessings.
So you all know the Hanukkah blessing, and so we'll do it here. I can light it. Poke that one.
Let me help you.
How about if you light it for me?
I'll do that. I'll light the first one.
Where'd you get that?
We might be saying this without, oh, there we go.
There, okay, thank you.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
And may these candles banish all gloom and anxiety from your heart.
That doesn't get better than that. Just stay here, you can give the sermon. That was perfect. Thank you. That was beautifully done.
I gave a sermon last Saturday.
May the Shabbat candles that we now light inspire us to see justly and gently, to look honestly and with kindness, and to see what's holy in each other. We'll now turn to page 4 in our prayer books, in the middle of the page. Hine matov, how good and pleasant it is for us to be together. We'll join together. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Well, Cantor Michelle was making every effort possible to have been here, but having had surgery yesterday, there was no way she was waking up and saying that she could just jump up here and do it. But well, she'll be back, and it's good that it was now, and it's not like Erev Rosh Hashanah tomorrow. So she'll be all rested up and back with us soon. Let's continue now with our family prayer, the middle of page 8. May we never take for granted the gift of Shabbat as we sit nestled in the Rocky Mountains, sharing this humble moment with family and friends. May the satisfaction of celebrating Shabbat hearten our spirits, and let Shabbat peace bring quiet to our souls. Allow this time set aside for song and prayer to bring us closer together in thoughts and deeds. The space we share become our place of devotion, glowing with reverence and filled with our tradition. May the end of this week encourage us to examine our actions and let us look ahead toward the new week so we'll be worthy of all of God's blessings. The top of page 8, as we welcome the angels of peace, we'll join together Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as we turn to page 12, as Sinai, we lift our eyes to the mountains. I don't know if any of you were up early enough this morning and were looking toward our mountains and saw the snow on top. I thought, this is a little early for all. I almost went out to take a picture just to put on Facebook so people would say, in August. So we're hoping that it warms up before the holidays and you don't have to wear ski jackets for Rosh Hashanah. But it was beautiful, and we lift our eyes to the mountains, page 12, as Sinai, as we join together. Esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo ezri. Esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh Shemayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh Shemayim va'aretz. The prayer for Lukado Deeg takes us back to the 16th century to Tzfat. And this is where Shlomo Alkabetz composed the poem and said, "Come, my beloved," he was welcoming the Sabbath bride. And even though it was written in the 16th century, he didn't want any of us to forget who wrote this. So you'll notice, when you look at it, we have each of the letters, I made them bold when we put the prayer book together, and it shows Shin, Lamed, Mem, Hey, Shlomo, and then number 5 is Hey, Lamed, Vav, Yud, Shlomo Halevi. So you want to make sure all these centuries later, we know who wrote this, and there's no doubt about it. So he gets all the credit for Lukado Deeg. We'll join together. Is there a special tune? Since I can't do the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We'll save that for Michelle. What's another tune that is your favorite from your home? Lukado Deeg likrat kala, V'nei Shabbat nekabla. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu elam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'tila. Lukado Deeg likrat kala, V'nei Shabbat nekabla. Lukado Deeg likrat kala, V'nei Shabbat nekabla. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמור עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Page 18, the last two lines, we rise, face the rear of the sanctuary as we greet the Sabbath bride. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. May be seated. Psalm 92 has such an interesting history. It's one of the oldest prayers that we sing in our liturgy. It goes back to the time where it was first recited in the Temple of Jerusalem on Shabbat. So we say that this is the song of the Sabbath day. We'll continue responsively at the top of page 21. It is good to give thanks to you, O Lord, to praise your name through song, to speak in the morning of your loving kindness and your faithfulness each night. To the music of the lute and the harp, the melody of the lyre, I'll sing with my delight. We'll continue the bottom of page 20. Tzadika tamar yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yiske, shetulim beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, od yenuvun v'seva, deshenim vera'ananim yiu lehagid, Ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatavo. Well, on page 23, we have Just for Today, again taken from 1921 in the Boston Globe. And we should give this to someone that has not read it before. It's a wonderful way of saying, I got through. We don't want Mickey to read it, right? I know. We always say, well, Mickey, read it. No, that's okay. I remember Morris, she said, it's enough. Oh, we'll have, here, you haven't done this for us. Oh, perfect.
She's a really good person. 23, okay.
Oh, she'll see when she reads it, though. Well, you can't get on my nerves or get off yours, so we'll see. Let's join together responsibly.
Okay. Just for today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow, and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once.
Just for today, I'll be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and be happy. People are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust everything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, I'll be agreeable, cheerful, charitable, do my best, praise people for what they can do, and not criticize them for what they cannot do. And if I find fault, I'll forgive it and forget it. Will try not to improve nor regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I will have a plan. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from worry, hurry, and indecision.
Just for today, I will get people off my nerves and not get on theirs. I'll appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show it if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, I'll find a little time for quiet, to relax, and to realize what life is and can be. Time to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for today, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
Thank you.
I love that.
See, was it make a good choice?
So beautiful. Thank you.
And it was so nice. You even printed one up for me. We have it in our kitchen from what you gave me. It's one of the wonderful readings, and I don't take credit. It was when I was an assistant rabbi back in 1981 in Minnesota. The rabbi introduced it to me, and I've used it ever since because it just takes on a different meaning each time, whether it's a mother of a bride, a bar mitzvah family, a guest, or I heard you giving a lot of commentary. Morris says to Mickey, that's you, now just stop that. So it was good. It works for everyone. And we love that prayer. Well, let's turn to page 24 and rise. We'll continue with the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach. Leolam voed. You may be seated. Let's continue responsively. In the middle of page 28, we think about God's wondrous creations. As we join together on this Shabbat Eve, we take in the greatness of God's creations. As the snow melts on the mountain peaks on high, let our worries of the week flow away. And as the mountain springs give forth fresh water, let our souls feel refreshed. As creeks join streams and become the great rivers, let our faith and love grow stronger. And as we stand in awe of the great beauty of the Rocky Mountains, let our faith in God increase and renew, and let this Shabbat be a time of peace. The top of page 30 is we're joining together. And as you notice, this is the only time where in putting the book together, we actually copied the exact script from the Torah, so you could see how it would look when it's written. And what was important is when you see the word Shema and count 3 letters over, you see the letter Ayin. This is like a Hebrew class. And then you look at the last word, Echad, and count 3 letters over, and you see the Daled. And every single Torah, forever, has always been written with a large Ayin and a large Daled. When you're a scribe, you have to know to do that. And it spells the word aid, which means witness. So they were trying to say, we don't know why they did this 2,000 years ago, but we think you're a witness to one God. So that's how every single Torah would be written, and we'll now join together. Ernie, I'd have you do it. But aid. The word aid is a witness. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. We continue together. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levacha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol meodecha, v'hayu hadvarim ho'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibaharta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uvshavtecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot ayadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, uktavtam am mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. On page 33 at the top of the page, we wrote this prayer because we think about how much we have here and how grateful we are. And we don't really need much more. You don't always have to have something else. So we wrote the prayer, may we have just enough. Let's continue responsively. Source of all goodness, as we join together in prayer, we reflect on blessings that have always been within our reach. May we feel healthy enough to arise in the morning and enjoy all this beautiful valley gives each of us. May we have enough wealth to be able to take care of our own needs and compassion enough to share our abundance with others. May we have enough wisdom to recognize our own faults, not blaming others, working toward being that better person. May we have patience enough to not easily become disheartened, knowing that with faith in the future, tomorrow will be a better day. Middle of page 32 is taken from Shirat Hayam, Song of the Sea, Mi Chamocha. It's a poem that was sung by the Israelites after crossing the sea. Mi Chamocha Bo'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilot, O Seifele, Malchut Charuva Necha Bokeh Yam Lifnei Moshe, Ze'eli Anu V'Yamru, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Voed, V'ne'amar Yifad Adonai et Yaakov, Galo Chazak Mimenu, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Page 34, we'll be doing this in English this time. It's such a wonderful reading because the Hashkivenu traditionally was a prayer that was said at night, and it was said with a little bit of fear because the individual would be saying it and they say, I know when I go to sleep, I don't fully understand it, I close my eyes. But as you can see from this, we hope that we're protected over the night and then we wake up with renewed strength. Let's continue responsively in English, page 34. On this Shabbat evening, we seek peace and comfort. Shield us from hatred and destruction that plagues so many corners of our world and console those in need. May God provide peace and comfort in the refuge of his wings. Protect us from concerns and distress that keep us from thinking clearly. May we live each day with honesty, grace, and integrity, so we lie down at night free from worry and angst and awake each morning with renewed strength. Grant us good counsel so we'll make each day worthy of your promises. Guard our going forth and our coming in, and bless us with life and peace. May we always be protected in the shadow of your wings. For blessed are you, eternal God, whose shelter of peace spreads over us, over all people, and over Jerusalem. And this was a prayer which was the prominent prayer when the Jews were refugees leaving Europe. And when you think about these words and you read those words and they say, shield us from all the hatred and destruction, this took on a whole different meaning for all of them. And then we're reliving the whole thing again today with the refugees that are leaving from Afghanistan. And it may not be in their language, but it's in our hearts for all of them, that they could have good counsel and the wings of God will spread over them and they'll be able to find peace as well. Well, let's turn to page 36, Vishamru. In 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth. The seventh day he ceased from his work and rested. We'll join together, page 36. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledoratam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Veini uvein b'nei Yisrael, od hi leolam, od hi leolam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Ubiyom hashvi'i shavat v'yinafash, shavat v'yinafash, shavat v'yinafash. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Well, the Birkat HaGomel prayer expresses our gratitude for the miracle of healing. And it's a special prayer that offers full restoration of one's health, to family and friends, and indeed to life itself. It reads, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hagomel l'chayavim tovot, sheg gimalani kol tov. It reads, may God, who bestowed kindness upon us, continue to bestow every goodness upon each of us and restore us to our health. And these take on a whole different kind of meaning with how we just keep saying everything evolving and changing with COVID-19, that new restrictions, new rules, and some have even gotten their third vaccine for what's happening. And we certainly offer our prayers for all of them as we continue with our prayer for healing, page 38. Mi sheberach avoteinu mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. We offer our blessings for prayers for healing to Cantor Michelle, Cale Balin, Sue Beiser, Sonny Brodsky, Susan Coburn, Greg Cohen, Linda Cullen, Peter Cook, Lynn and Michael Deutschman, Barbara Finkelstein, Jane Friedman, Barry Goldberg, Deborah Goldman, Karen Goldman, Randy Goldman, Bernie Grabowski, Donald Jaffe, Warren Janowitz, Mary Sue Katz, Herman Keek, Brian Kushner, Judith Landau and Pam Lessing, Renee Myers, Pedro Prince, Stephen Reese, Roberta Scheller, Sam Schwartz, Patty Silverstein, Bert Solomon, Dina Stempler, Liz Stern, Max Strauss, Alan Tenenbaum, Tammy Trow, and Mickey Winokur. Thank you. We continue at the bottom of the page. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Well, as we turn to page 40 and rise, continue with the Reader's Kaddish, and it's a little bit like an introduction to what my sermon will be about. So as we continue chanting the Reader's Kaddish together in Aramaic, please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, B'yama divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'izman kari imeru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mivarach, le'alam v'lameho maya, yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shemei dekudisha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'yama himeru. Amen. Page 42, Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. The top of the page, we continue. Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana Svatai Tiftach. Anananana ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilate echa. Anananana Adonai. Anananana svatai tiftach. Anananana ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilate echa. As we continue silently, pages 42 through 57. You may be seated when you've completed the Amida. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God. As we are living amidst the flowers and the trees and the beautiful closing of summer, this peaceful prayer allows us to focus on God and the quiet trust that this past year was a challenge, but tomorrow's a better year. Osa Shalom, our prayer for peace, page 56 at the bottom of the page. Osa Shalom Bimromav. Uya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Well, this has been kind of a nice homey little service that we have here together. And as I was looking over the service, and it's been asked by so many different people about how we put it together and when we do English, when we do Hebrew, and what else is found within the service. Well, I thought about it, and I remembered that in my final years of high school, way back when, that I had to choose a language to study for the next 3 years. You all probably went through the same experience. There was very little discussion in my home. You could either study French, German, Spanish, or Latin. It's probably the same for most of you. Certainly we were at the same high school, so you had the same choices. There was almost no discussion in my home. My mother said, Latin. You'll study Latin because it's going to improve your English. And I thought, I'm not sure I agree with that, but that was what was decided. So I plowed through De Bello Gallico, the Gallic Wars of Caesar, and we went through 3 years. The teacher was as old as Julius Caesar, but we still had to be studying this language. And I said, what possible use could there be for this dead language? Well, years later in rabbinical school, my studies included Aramaic, dead, Egyptian hieroglyphics, dead, and biblical Hebrew, dying. So I questioned my professors on the thought, and I said, how is it so different from our reading of the Torah and the multiple prayers that we have in Hebrew and Aramaic that nobody understands than studying Latin or Greek? Well, I've evolved since those naive days that I spent in rabbinical school, because I think one of the most important prayers that we have and that we say, and I've insisted since being here and everywhere I've been, is for every bar and bat mitzvah to be able to say the Mourner's Kaddish prayer. There are too many times where I will go to officiate at a funeral, we'll be standing there at the end of the service, and I'll say, would everyone like to join in with me in the Kaddish? And it's just me, alone. And I think how sad that is, that we need to be training the youngest in this prayer, so when the time comes, they'll be able to lead and participate in that prayer. What's unusual about the prayer, it's recited in Aramaic, and nobody speaks that today. It was originally written in Aramaic because it was the spoken language of the time. That prayers we read and recite are in Hebrew. That's the prayer of ritual. But Aramaic was understood by the masses, and this was a way of praising God, and that's the prayer that we still do today. Now, that it's not spoken today, some people would ask, aren't we just perpetuating this essential prayer, which is part of a dead language, for tradition's sake? Doesn't the prayer in the 21st century make any sense, and why is it sustainable? Well, the very question was also debated in the earliest years of the Reform movement. This would be the late 1800s. And they said, why should we pray any of our prayers in Hebrew? We should be praying in German, which is the language we speak. And they began to transition into that. What's important to understand is that there's a difference between the language of the land and the language of ritual. And there were arguments that we should pray our entire service in English, because what's the purpose of prayer if you can't educate the people, inspire them with a language that they would then understand? But then we said, on the other hand, the reading of the Torah in Hebrew, the reading of prayers in our service in Hebrew or Aramaic, it's all part of this ritual that we have that's been passed down from generations, that more religions will emphasize the love of God and one's neighbor and the importance of study and acts of kindness, but it's how Judaism expresses our beliefs in our rituals, in our practices, I think that makes us special and distinctive. So we have Hebrew prayers, we have Aramaic prayers, we've introduced every high holiday to do Yiddish prayers, and we've even put in some Ladino prayers. So all these different ways of us expressing our thanks to God, it's how it's defined us as Jews, and we've never lost it. All you have to do is be a guest and go to Catholic Mass. And all of the prayers are sung in English. One of my best friends in the Navy was a priest, and I said, it doesn't make sense. What happened to Latin? And they don't teach it anymore. So I insisted, when saying a prayer, we always would say an evening prayer on the ship. I said, let's do the threefold prayer, may the Lord bless you and keep you. I said, I'll do it in Hebrew. I turned to my Protestant friend, you got the English, which is easy. I turned to the priest and I said, you've got the Latin. So he spent the whole day practicing how to say, may the Lord bless you and keep you in Latin. And that was our prayer, which then brings it back to people that grew up with that part of the language. So could you imagine if we sang Manish Tana or Dayenu in English at the Seder? Don't tell me anybody does that. So you'd be saying, why is this night different from all other nights? How'd the rest of it go? It doesn't work. Because all other nights we chametz. But whoever you are and how old you are, it's always Manish Tana halayla haza. And it works worldwide with everyone. Well, imagine, would we still feel as connected to the previous generations as a sense of being part of something larger than ourselves if we only sang our songs in English? Well, there's many who attend services that don't understand Hebrew or Aramaic, not even enough to realize that we were speaking Aramaic. But the value of the emotional, and I think there's a nostalgic connection to our language of Hebrew, which is why we insist that our kids learn it, and we've passed it on as well. In our prayer books that I've put together, and the High Holy Day prayer book we're going to be using, has beautiful translations, so you can always see what you read, and it's always transliterated. So if your Hebrew's a little rusty, you just go to the transliterated section. And then you get the substance of the prayer, even if you don't understand the words precisely. Well, a few years ago, I participated in the writing of a new Shabbat prayer book. It was for the Reformed Synagogues of Great Britain, which is their conservative movement. And the purpose of our gathering for over a year, they wanted to update the translations and then review the traditional prayers. And there were arguments of maybe this should be adjusted for whatever reason that make it more modern. But in the end, it was only new melodies that were being introduced for the prayers, and they left everything else alone. The prayers in Hebrew remained the same, and they understood the value that Hebrew has provided for our people for centuries. Now, even though I had to struggle through those 3 years at Hillcrest of studying Latin, and then much later, many more of the Semitic languages, which has helped me in my rabbinate to understand the different other languages. But you can be rest assured that my next sermon will not be in Latin, because we'll always be speaking English. But Hebrew is always our language of prayer. And when you come for our high holiday service, I think you'll see how you're connected with another generation and another generation past before us. And even though English is our language of the land, our chosen language is always going to be Hebrew. And my mother sang in the choir in Dallas for like 35, 40 years. Her Hebrew was almost non-existent. But everything was transliterated in the choir. And even in her last years, when she was in her 80s, she would say to me, "My voice is terrible, but I can always mouth the words." And she would sing Aleinu and have no idea when we do Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol. Not a clue of what any of those words meant, but it meant something here. And that's why we retain that, because it brings on that feeling, whether it's Macon, Georgia, or Miami. It's what brings you back to what was. Well, I dare say we know the high holidays are coming, right? And I'll show you this. You'll be the first to see it. This is still warm off the press. We have new high holiday prayer books. I spent a year putting this together, where every prayer is translated and transliterated. And you know, when you sit down with your machzor and your prayer book, you look at it and you think, oh my God, this is 500 pages. And you wonder when it will, we do every page. This is only 60 pages, but we don't skip any of the pages. And what's wonderful about this, and Mickey, I give you credit for this one, where we were wondering who to honor, and it came up in the Mahjong group, of course. So it's for Howard Marcus on this one, and it's in his memory, and we dedicated the book to him, and I think it's going to be wonderful. I worked hard with the cantor, and we have English, we have songs, very easy to read, and we're going to be taking them to copy to run off the 800 copies that we need for all of you. But it should be a wonderful experience. And high holidays, of course, all of you by now know we're going to be at the amphitheater, the Gerald Ford Amphitheater, and we will send out many, many warnings that, who was wearing that heavy coat? Well, you're in a good one. Wear a jacket, because it's open on all four sides, which I think makes it very less likely COVID is going to go inside and join us for our service. But wear a coat, because it could be kind of chilly at night when we go there for services. But it should be absolutely wonderful. Cantor Michelle has gone to Denver already to meet with her little mini orchestra that puts on the music, and it's spectacular when we were on the stage watching that service. So we look forward to many of you joining us for the high holidays. This is the book club that's coming up this Thursday. And it's an amazing story. It's called Souls of a Survivor. She actually lives in Denver, member of the Hebrew Education Alliance. And it talks about her journey from the jungles of Cambodia, from Vietnam to Cambodia, to a Christian household until she converts to Judaism and now lives a Jewish life here in Denver. And it's an incredible read as Janet runs the club. You don't have to read the book, but she's going to be Zooming with us. So watch it, join us on Thursday night. You go to newmanzoom.com, it's in the bulletin as well. Even if you've not read the book, I think to hear her story and why is it so important now, that's what's happening now with Afghanistan. That we're looking at the refugees and where are they going to go, what is their next journey. we're going to hear from her journey from Vietnam to Cambodia, and then eventually over here to see what it's like. So it's an incredible book. She's been speaking all over the country. We're anxious to hear what she has to say. We'd also like to thank the Futerniks for sponsoring tonight. In order to have all these people watching, and it's amazing when we look online that we're averaging 50 to 100 click-on people who are watching the service, which is great. We couldn't do it without your help. So we thank you and the family for doing that. Great to see you guys and everybody else that's come. It's wonderful. And we have Ruth, B, Barbara, and Joan. They're all watching us at Seacrest Village in San Diego, California. So I want to make sure I give a good shout out to all of them. And they've been regulars. They've never missed one of those recorded services that the cantor and I did. And we know there's a bunch more. And if the cantor is watching, stay in bed, get healthy, rest up. We definitely miss you. And we'll see you for the high holidays. So we do have the services coming up for the next 2 weeks. And we look forward to seeing many, many of you coming for all of these. And thank you all very much. Thank you for joining in and becoming my choir this evening as well. We're going to now return to our prayer books on page 60 as we'll rise and join together Aleinu. And this is the one where, remember, you don't have to know what it means. We're all going to join in the tune together. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer breshid, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot hadama, shelo samech elkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai Lech al kol ha'aretz V'yom ha'hu Adonai Echad U'shemo Echad. Well, at this moment in memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and remembrance. A link has been broken in the chain that bound us together, with strong bonds of home and love hold us one to another. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in our prayer books on page 64. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links the generations one to another, we call to mind those whose yahrzeit we observe this month. Adele Abrams, Mark Albert, Charles Barrison, Jack Balin, Shirley Belcher, Jules Bronstein, Ruth Cohen, Helen Cohn, Cantor Stephen Dubov, Richard Eisel, Lillian Ettinger, Irving Fielden, Beatrice Fliegelman, H. Mitchell Fox, Bernice Doris Garland, Max Gelfand, Ada Goldman, Fred Goldsmith, Florence Goldstein, Harris Herman, Emil Hess, Eileen Joseph, Linda Kahn, Soramini Kalachuran, Saul Kaufman, Susan Kaufman, Dorothy Keller, Kitty Kopolovic, David Landau, Sylvia Lantzman, Arthur Langsam, Paula Lessing, Leo Levy, Samuel Levine, Philip Leibowitz, Ermi Lindenfeld Heller, Florian Linz, Beverly Lopatin, William Benjamin Marks, Bernard Melvin Shapiro, J. George Mitnick, Robert Morris, Sarah Mossman, Claire Numeroff, Dorothy Nurek Landau, Erwin Raymer, Lillian Rosenblatt, Leah Rothenberg, Judy Schechner, Ernest Scheller III, Morris Shore, Erwin Schwabe, Edwin Aaron Schwartz, Murray Shane, William Sigmund, Donald Steinberg, Thelma Stemple, Leonard Stern, Margaret Stringer, Richard Swig, Edith Swirsky, Pauline Wolf, and Julius Wolfen. If anyone else is observing yahrzeit. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in our prayer books on page 64, and those who wish may join with me as we say, Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach chirutei v'amlik malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kariv im ramein, Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach leolam omei maya, Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brechu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imramein, Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imramein, oseh shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imramein. May be seated. It's an interesting tradition. We actually put it as a note at the top, that you're approaching God's throne. You'll see many of the traditional people, when they begin the Kaddish, they take 3 steps forward and then begin saying the Kaddish. You notice at the end that they'll take 3 steps back as if you're walking away from God's presence and offer the same blessing. Now, I would never dare be as brave as the cantor to say, oh, just throw out a song here and we'll just do it to Adon Olam. Because I don't know like George's theme song or Georgia Tech. I can't believe the 2 of you are sitting together. I know, so you're actually together, which surprises me. But we don't know either of those fight songs. Oh, okay. Okay. So we have a choice of Adon Olam, and I can make it work for just about anything if I know the song. Oh, I haven't done that in ages. We used to do one, because I would be doing this for 25 years on different Navy bases and ships. We did it to the Marine Hymn and Anchors Aweigh. So we just celebrated and honored the first responders. There were many of them were military, and it was a way of there was a time of remembrance, and they were brought back. There was 6 different people that had been killed in duty while they were as first responders here in Eagle County. And it was an amazing little service, and there were a lot of military there. So I haven't done this in a long, long time, but we can do it. Everybody knows those songs, and we'll, try it with me. Yes, we can do something we know, yes. What would it be? What was the John Denver one she does? I know that. Okay, what's the regular Adon Olam? That was a question. Adon Olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'chefsako azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam asher malach yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'chefsako azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam v'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora Adon Olam vehu haya vehu hoveh vehu yiyeh b'tifara Adon Olam. Now Adon Olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'chefsako azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam vehu echad v'ein sheni lam shilo liachbira Adon Olam v'li reshit v'li tachlit v'lo ha'os v'hamisra Adon Olam. Now David. Adon Olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'chefsako azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam vehu eli v'chai goali v'sur chavli b'yetzara Adon Olam vehu nisi umanosli minat kosi b'yom mekra Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam biyado Afki druchi, ve'eti shan via ira adon olam, ve'im ruchi, geviati, Adonai li velo ira adon olam. Adon olam asher malach. B'terem kol yitzir nivra li'ed nasa. V'chefsa kol hazai melech shemo nikra adon olam. And that was the regular one. Let's rise for closing blessing. Adonai Yozli Amo Yitain Adonai Varechet Amova Shalom. May the Lord grant strength unto his people. Bless all peoples with peace. I could use a drink. Let's all rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi min haaretz v'tei avon. Shabbat shalom, and thank you for being here with us.